Hi guys, so this is my second journal and it's actually the night of the first journal. I don't know why I felt like doing a second journal. Maybe it's because I'm getting like my thoughts out and it feels better, feels good. And for the second journal entry diary video blog, I wanted to read to you a written journal that I did back in 2013, which was 7 years ago. I must have been like 18, but I wanted to share with you what I had written, and I wanted you to know what I think about it now and see what I can remember about that specific night. And I don't always remember everything. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do for this video. So this journal entry is December 10th of 2013. I'm going to read to you what I wrote and then I'll tell you what I can remember. So what it says is, I actually made it through a night when going to bed early without having a seizure. I honestly cannot believe it. I know I should not regret what I am about to say, but I do regret it. I do kind of regret taking my medication last night as early as I did for a certain amount of time. Every once in a while I felt okay, and that is a feeling that does not come around very often for me. Nowadays, I always ask myself, can you at least try to dream of what you wished could have or would have happened? I'm kind of nervous because tonight is either the second or the third night that I have not taken my medication called Lexapro. Lexapro is a seizure medication. It's anxiety, which is an antidepressant medication. Antidepressant and anxiety, pretty much the same thing. I used it for anti-anxiety medication, though I feel as if the seizures can come at any time. There was a point in time where I was taking Lexapro. I do remember this a little bit. But there was a time where I was taking Lexapro and I was taking my seizure medicine, and I felt like if I didn't, like, a lot of times when I didn't take the anti-anxiety med, I would have seizures, and they kept telling me, like, no, it's not possible, like, the anti-anxiety med wouldn't do that. But I'm like, well, there's something up, because every time I don't take the anxiety and I do take the seizure meds, I have a seizure. So it's like, I don't understand what's going on. And so going back to when I said I regret taking my seizure medicine, no one should regret that, right? Because it keeps you alive, it keeps you safe. But my issue was back then, that was the most hardest time I ever experienced having seizures, because I was still adjusting. I didn't have seizures until I was 16 years old again. I had seizures when I was a baby, but it went away at 18 months and I spent 14 years seizure free. Now, when you go from not having seizures to having seizures again, and you didn't have to experience it when you're a baby, but you have to experience it when you're a teenager, it's very difficult. I had issues with thinking like I was a completely different person, and I looked like a completely different person, and I wasn't as pretty as I used to be, and I looked like a different person, you know, like physical wise, and it was really weird for me because I'm just like, I don't know what I'm experiencing, like mentally, obviously, like I might be going insane, but I can't control that, you know? I can't, and it's like, back in the day, everyone said I used to look older than I was, and now everybody says I look younger than I am. Confusing, right? And that's why I started thinking like I look like a different person, because it doesn't make any sense. And so back then, everyone used to say I was beautiful, and now everyone's saying I look younger than I am. And it really fucks with your brain, because then you're like, oh shit, like when you really care about your looks like I did, you'll do some crazy shit, which is exactly what I did. And I would wing myself off of my medication because of that. I would willingly, riskily attempt looking like my old self by having a seizure, and that is very, very dangerous, because you can die of a seizure, and even though people think you can't. You can hit your head. If you're like me, you don't have a warning sign, you can end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you can end up dead. So that was very stupid of me, but I was a teenager, like I said, and teenagers don't really think about what they're doing, and they will do stupid shit for stupid reasons. I'm glad I can admit that I can admit that I was wrong now, but back then I would have been like, whatever, it doesn't matter, I'm not gonna die, blah 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 blah. Like, no. You need to stay on your medication if you are a teenager, because you can end up dead. And I've had a ton of seizures because I winged myself off, and it was fucking hell. Now that I've looked back at it, like, it was hell. And even though I was going crazy mentally, I have I can't even explain how much brain damage I probably gave myself now. And it is really fucking awful, because maybe my memory would still be good. Maybe something in my brain, like my ability to think, would be better, you know? I don't know why. It was just a mental game, and it's like me versus my brain, and I can't explain it if you don't understand it, but it was so hard, like, for real. I can't, going back, talking about it, it's super hard and difficult for me, because I still, don't think I'm beautiful all the time. And not that I thought that before I had to be on medication, because I didn't. I was bulimic before, and that's how I got my seizures back, was that I was bulimic. But it's just like, having the seizures makes it even harder, you know? Yeah, so this journal makes me think of that a lot. I remember in 2014 they brought me into the hospital because they thought maybe my seizures were anxiety related, and if they're anxiety related, then you don't need to be on seizure medicine, or they can, if it's not, it'd be considered a non-epileptic seizure. So you wouldn't have to be on seizure meds, you'd have to be on some type of anxiety med. And basically I spent a week in the hospital on wires, not being able to shower, have somebody watch me go to the bathroom. I could change, but I mean, you probably smell like shit after a week. And I remember I had 2 seizures. I remember as soon as they took, like, they wouldn't mess with the anxiety meds, but they had to take you off the seizure meds. And it took a couple of days. First seizure, I remember, okay, so they had people in there. They had, like, the trainee doctors, nurses, stuff like that. Like, 5, 7 people, including the doctor, you know, the one that was certified, standing there, and I remember it, and then boom, in a seizure. Like, I don't even remember going into the seizure. I just must have passed out or something. I don't remember the second seizure though. I just know there were 2 seizures, and they have bells in there. So when a person goes into a seizure, they have bells when they're all hooked up, and you can hear the bell going off, which is really cool. But I mean, it sucks for the people having seizures. And they figured out that I don't have non-epileptic seizures, but I mean, I kind of knew that. I have a disease that causes seizures, so I kind of knew it wasn't anxiety seizures. But yeah, so that's what I remember from this journal. What sucked also was they wouldn't, like, change my meds. I don't think. I don't remember, but I think I was still on Keppra, which is an awful medication. And it took that to change the medicine, which I'm kind of glad. I just sometimes wish that they figured out it was anxiety related. But you know what? Like, I even wrote in a journal or said it out loud or something. No, what had happened was before I went into the hospital, I was in church. I remember that. I was in church, and one of my aunt's friends, it was my first time in church, and one of her friends mentioned to pray for me, like, to the pastor or priest or whatever they like to be called, to pray for me to have answers. And that's kind of what I prayed for myself. But everyone, like, even random people walked up to me and they're like, I'll be praying for you. I was like, that's cool. That's super nice. And that was my first time in church, so I didn't expect to get that much attention, but I did. And I got the answers I was looking for. Basically, all I asked was, can you tell me if this is anxiety related or not? And I did get that answer. So, yeah, that's all I have to say really about this journal entry. I guess I did really express a lot though, so that's good. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you gained a little knowledge, and there will be another video coming up, so that's great. Good night.